Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Shayna and today we're going to be DIYing some throw pillows. These are super easy, pretty inexpensive, and really cute. I hope you like them. So for our first pillow, I started out by measuring and cutting a 12-inch square out of our muslin fabric. Once I had the piece of fabric to the size that I wanted, it was time to start doing some needlepoint. I just got this 6-inch embroidery hoop from my local craft store, and I put it under the fabric where I wanted my design to start. I used this very large yarn needle from the craft store as well, and I started out with this burnt orange color to start the needlepoint in the middle of the fabric. So I just started at the top of the fabric here. I originally tried to do it freehand and I just pulled the yarn through. I left a little tail on the back so that I could tuck it under the other loops so that it secured the yarn in there by itself and I didn't have to tie a knot. But when I pulled it back through, I wanted it to just be loose enough to create a little loop so it wasn't extremely tight. I tried to use this pencil at first to try and create the loop, but eventually I just gave up and made the loops myself. I ended up not liking how the circle was looking with me freehanding it, so I actually pulled all of the yarn out that I had already started, and I then traced a circle onto the fabric with a pencil and just a can of water. Whenever I traced this circle onto the fabric, I actually moved it up a little higher, more into the center of the fabric, so that's why it looks like it's in a different spot. And then I just started over, leaving that tail open so that I could tuck it behind. There you can actually see how I'm tucking the tail of the fabric behind the other loops on the back side of the pillow. So once I had the outline of the circle done, I just started filling it in. I just kept going in a spiral-like pattern to fill in the entire shape, and this seriously took me forever. So once I had the circle completely filled in, I just turned it upside down and tied a knot on the back to secure the rest of the yarn. Then it was time to add the next shape. So for this one I wanted to do a much larger half circle. So I used the ruler and just created a straight line across below this full circle, and then I freehanded the bottom curved part. So for this portion of the pillow, I used this blush pink yarn. This yarn is much smaller than the orange yarn was, so this took me even longer. The shape's about double in size, and the loops were a little harder to create since the yarn is smaller. So I did finish this off camera. It took me all night while I was watching TV. So once this was finally done, I wanted to add one last shape towards the bottom. So I just did a kind of squiggly line. I wasn't really sure what the plan was, I just went with it. I decided not to use the embroidery hoop this time though because it was so close to the edge. I just held it with my hands and it worked fine. So I just stitched this almost straight line across the bottom of this semicircle. I did almost the same sort of stitch, except I pulled it a little tighter and did the stitches a little wider. I ended up doing about 4 rows total for this green. I was going to do the whole bottom portion, but decided I just liked the lines instead. I decided that I didn't like how small the pillow was, so I cut out another 12 by 12 square, and then I actually cut the square in half to create 2 12 by 6 pieces, and I sewed these on either side of the existing fabric that I actually embroidered on. So when sewing these 2 pieces together, I really had to make sure that the edges were straight and together. The seams are going to be on the front of the pillow, so you're going to be able to see them, so I wanted to make sure they were very uniform. So the size of this pillow ended up being 12 inches by 24 inches once I sewed those 2 side pieces on. So then I just had to cut out a back piece that was also 12 inches by 24 inches. Once I had this back piece cut out, I was able to sew around the outside of the pillow. You want to make sure that you put good sides together so that when you turn them with right side out, when the pillow is finished, the good pattern is on the outside. So I had to sew around 3 of these sides. I left one side open so that I could stuff the filling inside. Then I turned the pillow right side out. When it was finished, I pushed out the corners to make sure that they were nice and straight, and then it's time to fill it. When I was happy with how filled the pillow was, it was time to hand sew that opening shut. To hand sew, you just want to go from one side of the fabric to the other side of the fabric on the inside of that fold so that it looks like it was just sewn with the sewing machine. Then I just fluffed the pillow a little bit to make sure that all the filling was even inside, and this is what it ended up looking like. So this pillow was actually a test pillow for some bigger ones that I want to make for on my bed, but I wanted to see how it turned out first. I started off with a 12-inch square, I folded it in half, and then I created a seam on that folded part so that it created almost a pleat in the fabric. One I wanted to make 2 more of these pleats on either side of the middle one, so I just folded the fabric in to meet that pleat there, and then sewed down that side, and I did the same exact thing to the other side. Now there's 3 pleats down the center of this pillow. Now I just have to cut out another 12 by 12 square to sew on the back of this pillow. So I just have to put good sides together, match up all the edges, and then I can sew around 3 of the edges and leaving a gap for the filling to go in. When you're going around the corners of the pillow, you want to turn so the needle is down in the fabric so that when you pick up the foot of the sewing machine, you can just pivot instead of having to readjust everything. When you're done sewing the pieces together, you just turn it right side out, make sure the corners are nice and straight, and then it's time to fill again. Once it's stuffed how I like it, just time to hand sew. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed that. If you did, make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Let me know if you have any ideas for any future videos or if you'd like to see me make some more throw pillows. Thanks!